Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to the webinar. We'll just wait for about 20 seconds to let everybody come on. Okay, so just say thank you, good afternoon, and welcome. And my name is Gillian Coghill, and we're delighted that you joined us on the UCD Smurfit School Women on the MBA webinar today. We may have met some of you already at our recent open day here in Blackrock. Just over the next 50 minutes, we will provide you with insight into the MBA programs here at UCD Smurfit School, as per the agenda on your screen. If Amanda, you want to move on to that. And just to highlight, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you in a couple of days. Let me first introduce our MBA team who join us today. We have in the background our MBA Academic Director, Dr. Luca Pastilli, and Sinead Cunningham, who takes care of the Executive MBA program. I myself manage the full-time program, and also present is Adele O'Leary, who oversees both of the programs. Finally, Mairead Mulvey is our MBA Admissions Manager. And Mairead is the person you will speak with in order to join the program if you haven't done so already. We welcome your questions throughout. Please submit them in the Q&A function box at the bottom of your screen. The team behind the scenes will answer them directly as they go. And we also hope to have a few minutes at the end for any questions at that point. But great if you ask throughout, and we'll get through them more efficiently then. We're conscious that it is a lunchtime webinar. Any contact links that we deem that may be useful for you, we'll share in the chat function below. So shortly you'll hear from our fantastic panel. We have Emer, Lucy, Anna and Anya, who will be in conversation with our Associate Dean of the College of Business, Director of UCD Smurfit School and Head of the Management Subject Area, Professor Federica Pazzaglia. Following the panel discussion today, Mairead will share details regarding the application process and any key dates for you to keep in mind. Okay, so let's get started. So just over the next few minutes, I'm just going to give you an overview of the programs here at Smurfit School. And I suppose the first question that many of you will have considered already, no doubt, as you're on today, is why do an MBA? So to give you a collective view of what generally motivates our students to take on what is essentially a time and mentally consuming challenge, we can break it down into three categories. Firstly, a Master of Business Administration, or MBA, is a globally recognized qualification. Go anywhere in the world, across any industry, and people will know what it is. The MBA has consistently proven itself core to the development of business leaders who go on to create a positive impact on the world around them. UCD is proud that having launched our MBA program in 1964, our alumni have played a significant role over the years in the development of the Irish economy. Secondly, an MBA opens a pathway to significant career change. That change may occur within the area you operate today, or it could take you to another level or industry entirely. For those of you who are technically highly skilled, any gap in your understanding of business fundamentals may be limiting your confidence at the management table. And even if you have studied or specialized in business, the program is designed to give you that width and depth of perspective to operate comfortably at a strategic level. The MBA can help you bridge that gap. And thirdly, and simply, everyone who completes their MBA at Smurfit School wants to be the best professional version of themselves. They want to understand their natural skills, develop their competencies, and build their core confidence so that they can think and act with greater impact throughout their career. And that brings us on to a natural next question, is why study the MBA here at Smurfit School? Well, we've 5 good reasons for you to consider. The first is the longest of them. So, firstly, UCD Smurfit School is consistently placed in the Financial Times top 100 business schools globally. So, name any well known university in the world, and they are likely to be on the same list: Harvard, Yale, Oxford, HEC Paris. What this means is that Smurfit School shares an important common platform with these universities, and that is the achievement of the prestigious Triple Crown accreditation from the academic awarding bodies in the US, the UK, and Europe. These are known as AMBA, EQUIS, and AACSB. For context, there's just over 100 Triple Crown accredited schools out of 15,000 business schools globally. And being in the top 100 is also a reflection of our MBA rankings. So these are based on an independent survey carried out by the Financial Times with our alumni. So 3 years after graduation, the survey essentially asks our alumni, how's it going across career, across salary? And these are standard markers of an MBA education. International students in particular focus on rankings. So when researching where to do their MBA, many will not even consider the school if we're not well placed on the Financial Times Global Rankings list. Luckily in Ireland, we have the advantage of having Smurfit School right here in Dublin. But beyond a reference in a brochure, why does any of this really matter to you? It matters because it means you're getting exposure to lecturers who lead in their subject area, producing research, getting published in top academic journals, sitting on boards such as that as the World Health Organization, leading the way in industry. Our faculty are at the top of their game, and they'll share their insight and vast knowledge with you. It also means that our MBA program is fit for purpose year in, year out. You will learn the fundamentals of effectively managing a business that defines success. You will also learn about how these core fundamentals must flex within a dynamic global environment. Different challenges, different ways of working. The core question of 2026 that we're all aware of is, what is the future of business with rapidly developing AI? What are the opportunities, the responsible implementation, and the limitations? Secondly, the academic teaching of an MBA may not be enough on its own. To achieve real and lasting career impact, you need to personally develop as a leader. A core element of the Smurfit MBA is our Leadership and Employability Advancement Programme, or we call it LEAP. Unique to Smurfit, LEAP is designed for you to challenge yourself across core competencies, essential for career success. Thirdly, at Smurfit School, we consider our alumni network as gold. You will walk out of Smurfit with both an MBA and a professional active network of over 4,000 MBA alumni across the world. But before that, you will have sat in front of multiple alumni guest speakers who are advancing their careers in leading companies. And those in the full-time programme will have participated in MBA mentoring, a carefully considered pairing to give you guidance and direct the development of your career. The fourth reason to do a Smurfit MBA is global learning. A key focus in the Smurfit MBA programme is allowing you to experience how business is done in leading centres globally. As a founding member of the GNAM Global Business Schools Partnership, led by Yale University, you will have the opportunity to study in person and complete an online module at a partner business school. Both are optional and funded by yourself, but present an insightful window into an alternative leading business school. In addition to that, we have 2 travel modules which are offered throughout the programme. The first looks at doing business in an international market, usually in Asia. The second allows you to hone your consulting skills working on a live business project in a European city. All who participate develop lifelong memories and a keen sense of global learning. Lastly, Smurfit School offers you the choice of an MBA programme with 2 distinctive delivery structures, depending on whether your career is on pause or operating at full steam. As you can see on the slide, the key elements for you to consider are time on campus and class profile. Our executive MBAs attend class on campus for block weekends monthly over 2 years. They tend to have substantial professional experience at a senior level and are in the main from across Ireland, with some located in Europe. Our full-time MBA students tend to have 7 to 9 years professional experience, with the majority of the class coming from other countries and a smaller number of Irish students. The full-time schedule often suits those who've taken an exit package from a previous role. Finally, you will undoubtedly find it useful that Smurfit School has a dedicated MBA team across admissions, program management, careers, and alumni. This presents a huge advantage for our students from start to finish and beyond. So I hope that helped to inform your decision to perhaps take on the challenge of a Smurfit MBA. For now, let me introduce you to Professor Federica Pazzaglia and our exciting panel today. So Federica, I pass over to you.
Thank you so much, Gillian, for the introduction and, of course, for describing all the richness of our MBA program so well. It's really hard to pack so much good in a very compact manner the way we've done so far. But this is the following section is really particularly, I think, particularly inspiring, and it'll be particularly informative because it's really the place and the space where you're going to get to hear from four between current students and alumni of our full-time MBA and EMBA. And really the purpose is, and I would like to thank you, first of all, for so generously giving the time to be here today, to share your stories, to just really talking about the MBA and talking about where you've been while or since doing the MBA with us. But really is to kind of talk about the stories of the MBA. So I'm again encouraging everybody who's attending, I'm going to ask our speakers to introduce themselves next. But as you hear their stories, please, if you have any questions, if anything spark, desire to know more, please put the question in the chat. We'll return to them later on. So really, this is again to welcome all of you. Emer, Lucy, Ananya, and Anna, thank you so much for being with us today. Could I please just call on you to introduce yourself very briefly? Just know maybe your name and which program, which stage, and where you've been since, if not currently with us.
I'm happy to go first if that's okay.
Thank
Hi,
you, Anna.
my name is Anna. I am a first year executive MBA student. It's hard to believe I'm halfway through the first year. I remember being on this webinar last year, so it's a real full circle moment, and it's lovely to have you all on the webinar today.
Thank you so much, Anna. Emer, you're unmuted, so maybe you jump in here.
Yeah, I can jump in. So my name's Emer. I'm a global media director in Water Wipes. So an FMCG company. I completed the MBA. I had to look this up in 23, and I did the executive MBA. So it feels like a lifetime ago and like it was yesterday at the same time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lucy. I'm a second year executive MBA student, so very hard to believe I'm on the home stretch at this stage. As Anna said, it feels like yesterday that I was on one of these webinars from the other side of the table. So I have been doing the executive alongside working full time as a global partnerships manager for Forte Healthcare.
Thanks, Lucy. Nanya.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ananya, and I'm currently working as Senior Product Manager at Genesis. I came to Ireland, I think, 4 years ago, almost. Did my full-time MBA at UCD, so I'm a graduate of 2023. And yes, I'm happy to be here.
So thanks, all of you have been very powerful in your description and very powerful in saying like how much it mattered to be on the other side of this webinar before. So maybe returning to that time, could I ask, and this is a question for all our panelists, when and why did an MBA become something you were considering doing? How did it come about?
Yeah, maybe I could start because I'm totally from outside Ireland, looking from an outer perspective. So I started my career as a software engineer with a background in computer science. And I genuinely was enjoying, building products and was progressing well. But I think 5 years in my career, I realized I wanted to contribute beyond just the technical side. So I became increasingly curious about why, certain product decisions were being made, or how is this business strategy shaping. And so over time, I found myself very curious. And I tried to think what could be the next step, and it is not exactly easy to transition into a space without formal business experience. It can be quite challenging. So, MBA felt like the right next step to build that credibility, develop a strong foundation in business, and then, to give, and I hoped it would give me tools that will help me contribute more meaningfully in my next role.
Thank you, Ananya. Anna, you were going to jump in.
Yeah, I'm happy to go next. Slightly different. I would have done my undergrad in commerce, so have kind of worked in business settings throughout my entire career. Didn't really have the capacity or the time to do and go on to master's level directly after my degree, and I decided to raise my family at that stage instead, while kind of progressing through different careers and titles, etc. But an MBA had always been on the cards. It was like a lifelong dream, felt a little bit attainable in terms of like when to do it. Come 24, I was promoted as general manager of Kinvara skincare kind of mid 2023, and kind of coasted through that 2024, but realized I had a bit of a gap from operational to strategic impact in the workplace, and also just how the general world was feeling. It felt like it was almost necessary to upskill and to go back and get more like breadth of knowledge around business. And so from there, that's when I decided to apply into UCD Smurfit.
Thanks, Anna.
I can jump in. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Emer.
I did a master's in marketing in Smurfit before. And I remember seeing these MBA students and thinking, God, like someday I wonder if I could be one of those. Like I wonder if I'd ever make it there. And I remember a couple of years ago, I had a young kid, and I just had this energy for it. Whatever happened at that phase of my life, I felt like I work in marketing. I felt like at that point my career was not being limited, but I definitely felt I didn't have the leadership, kind of the business language I kind of felt it was to really kind of speak at an executive level and to kind of have influence there. And I really felt if I could get like a wider business understanding in a legitimate way, it would kind of build that credibility for me on paper, but also it would really just kind of change the way that I lead and I influence and I manage upwards as well. So for me, it was primarily around that. So it was kind of I remember I was walking on the beach with my friend and she said, like, I started going, I'm thinking about doing an MBA and I'm wondering about it. I don't know if it's the right time. And am I crazy? And I remember her saying, whenever you talk about it, like, I'm seeing excitement. And that's why I probably think it's the right time for you now. Like she goes, there's a buzz in you. I can see there's energy behind it. So she was like, do it while you have the energy because, you have a young family. You're probably going to need that.
Thanks, Emer. Lucy.
Yeah, so I think probably a bit similar to the other ladies. My background is technical, so I'm a veterinarian by background and I'm a chartered marketer. So I'd kind of rounded out those two parts, but I was kind of realizing there was definitely gaps in my business knowledge. I'd never undertaken any business qualifications, and I'd been looking at doing an MBA for a really long time. And a bit like the others, it's like, is it the right time? When is the right time? And I was actually just gearing up to apply when COVID hit. And I made the decision that I was going to hold off until we could get back in person and also be able to go on what are incredible trips. I'm sure we'll talk about them later, and have all these opportunities. So I waited and applied probably a bit later than I might have done otherwise. But I have never regretted making that decision. I mean, it's been incredible. So yeah, definitely has really helped to round out that level of knowledge that I think I was missing.
Thank you so much, Lucy, and thanks everybody. I think one of the things that at least that came across for me is how versatile an MBA degree seems to be. That's listening to you speaking, and for some of you, it came like to kind of adding a layer to an existing maybe technical set of skills, or for another situation was like about maybe getting the language, like the kind of the presence. So it seems that there's ways the MBA is kind of attracted you in different ways, but potentially delivered in even though in different ways, in similar ways. So maybe like returning to this moment still in when you were considering the MBA, you were kind of getting to deciding to do an MBA. What made you choose to complete your MBA here with us at the Smurfit School?
For me, it was easy because I'd already done a master's there, and I'd also done a diploma there. I'm a serial Smurfit person, but um,
Yeah, we
I,
like those.
I didn't consider anywhere else because I knew the standard, and I knew I'd never met a lecturer that I wasn't phenomenally impressed by. I'd never like the classmates were always really just smart people that you wanted to be around. And actually, I don't want to badmouth another university. I had done a diploma in another university, and I hadn't had that experience. And I remember thinking, well, then I'm not going to consider anywhere else. I'm going to very much just consider Smurfit for me. For me, it wasn't kind of something I looked. I did a brief look at other places, but it was a real consideration for me.
Thank you, Mer.
It was slightly different for me because I travelled from Galway, so I had to look at a couple of different establishments of where I might want to go. I could have gone in Galway if I wanted to. It was the quality stamp for me. It was the global rankings and just all of the statistics behind UCD Smurfit, what it could have potentially delivered. And I can confidently say it's exceeded all expectations from that perspective. It's not just a brochure, it's actually lived experience when you're in the university itself. You reap all the benefits being a student there. And like that, so that kind of like attracted me in is that quality piece. And yeah, I'm living that right now.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah, I totally agree with Anna in terms of the lived experience, and it's surpassing all expectations. And I'm not going to lie, my expectations were high. I have a friend who completed the MBA a number of years ago, and he still just talks about it all the time about how amazing it was. So I had high expectations. So a bit like Emer, for me, it was Smurfit or nothing. An MBA is a huge undertaking. It's so worthwhile. But if you're going to do that, you want to do it at the best. It's you're putting a lot of your life and your time into this. You want to be in the best, and certainly, yes, as Anna said, the accreditations aren't just something written down. They open so many doors for you, and I'm sure we'll talk about GNAM and what that allows you to do. But it's just opened so many doors, and the quality has been exceptional. So yeah, for me, I even said it to Mairead in my interview. I was like, it's Smurfit or nothing. So.
No, that's really good. And actually, you will be happy to know, Lucy, I will get back to the highlights of the program so
Yeah.
that you've already given us two that I know well, but I think that our attendees will want to hear about those as well.
Yeah, I think for me it has been extensive research to look at which school I wanted to go, especially because it was a big country move as well. Um, and I'm very happy that my research worked really well. There were a lot of things in play. I did not want to take a 2 years gap because there were certain other courses which were 2 years. It's 1 year MBA for me, and I wanted to give full time to it. That was one of the things. And there's another thing which came out in my research was when I was applying to various other universities, my target was Europe, and I was trying to look into the other universities. I also looked into the curriculum because my style of learning is very applied and practical. So I wanted to look a kind of curriculum where I could not only just learn theory, but go ahead, apply that, see how it works. That is how I learn. And I found that in the UCD curriculum. So that was one of the most attractive thing for me when I was looking for universities. And then here I was, I chose UCD. I'm very glad I did that.
Thank you so much. I think there's a variety of things that are coming across from curriculum to reputation to lived experience. And then there's the other side that I'm going to get to ask you very soon. So I'm keeping everybody in a suspense for another maybe couple of minutes. Just maybe before we move on to the actual experience of being in an MBA and potentially people who are on the audience at the moment are kind of maybe thinking they're at a similar juncture as you were when you were thinking about doing an MBA or being on this webinar. Maybe if you were thinking back, what was the one thing that maybe was on your mind as you were doing the research and kind of slowly zeroing in onto Smurfit? What was maybe, I don't want to say a concern, but maybe something you were kind of mindful of when making this choice?
I think I already was talking about it. My biggest concern was making the big move. But also apart from that, it was taking a step back from what felt like a successful career path for me. I was really doing well in the organization, but I wanted different things. And when I was moving, the biggest question I had was that will I be able to truly transition from engineering to product management? Because that's where I wanted to go. Um, and also coming out of the comfort zone, it was a big deal. So yeah, the whole experience itself was a big undertaking, as Lucy was mentioning. So that was the thing. Will I make it? Will I make through it? That was the question in my mind.
Thank you, Ananya.
I think for me, my one concern, I suppose, was I was just changing role within my organization as I was about to start the MBA. So I was transitioning to a global role, meaning my travel commitments were going to increase quite substantially across the world. But one thing that I found has been so helpful, and the reason the executive worked so well for me, is that we have the dates so far in advance. So it's so crystal clear before you even start. So I've been able to make it work just because of that level of organization is so appreciated, and you just don't get that everywhere. So having all of that set in stone so far in advance allowed me to plan my diary. It's meant I have been able to go to all the classes and everything and make it work. So it was a concern definitely in the kind of role I'm in, but it absolutely works. And there'll be a lot of people on our course who do travel a lot, and we make it work.
Thanks, Lucy.
I think for me, apart from the time, which is definitely a consideration, it's also my ability to go back into an academic setting. You're kind of like quite confident in the professional setting, your team, your people, what's expected of you, etc. And then you're transitioning into an academic setting again. You're studying, you're learning. It's a slightly different muscle. And it's also, like Anya said, you're out of your comfort zone, you're meeting new people, it's, a new space, a new place to go to, etc. So there was all of those, like, would I be able, for the content of the course, would I be able to study again? Would I be able to sit an exam again? And it comes back quite quickly. Your muscle memory kicks in, and it's really, really enjoyable. And it's kind of opened up this new way of thinking, and like, just giving you fresh perspectives at work, and running the two like side by side, working full time, having to deliver on strategic objectives at work, and having that backup of that academic like support and new information and new knowledge and new different ways of thinking has been great. But I was like, oh God, am I going to be able to sit an exam? And definitely the first Christmas ones that we sat recently, you're talking about a bunch of 30+ year olds up to 60 going, oh God, we've got to go in here and sit an exam now. That's, quite, it's just different. You haven't done it for a very long time, but yeah, kind of slightly looking forward to the May ones now, which is like a weird thing to say, but yeah.
So you're telling us it does come back.
Yeah, definitely. And it's enjoyable. It's like, it's a space that you don't get to do in your professional setting. So it's something different.
Thanks,
Anna. My experiences, I think all of that, I think I was worried about as well. So similar. And then because I had a 1-year-old, and I was going through the application process with all that energy for it. And then I found out I was pregnant. So I was kind of saying, I think my husband's reaction was, I'm really sorry, I know you really wanted to do it. And I was immediately, well, why wouldn't I? So I kind of had to have that kind of level set, honest conversations with the people around me, and really say, like, how will this work practically? Because it's a 2-year undertaking on the EMBA, and I had a full-time job, and I already had a 1-year-old. So once I made that decision and I committed to it, it did feel like a weight was lifted, but it did feel like obviously that added thing to manage or to anticipate and to kind of work around. But to be honest, I haven't looked back, and people kind of say, was that not crazy? Kind of looking back in it, and do you feel like it was too much, or you put too much on yourself? But actually, for me, it was the perfect time to do it. And it's something that's really kind of stood to me since. So it was definitely worth investing in it in that period, even though there's a lot to juggle.
Thank you so much, Emer. So that's that. I think there's a broad variety of things that were on mind, but from listening to you, it looks like all of it, especially around the structure that is involved in the program, from the program side, but also in the activities, like being very much clearly marked what is expected, is something that has helped mitigate those concerns, those things that were at the front of mind. Now then, thinking of the time in the program, some of you are still in the program, so it's very fresh. What would you say would like to say maybe a couple of things that you would think you really would like to highlight about the program that you were like pleasantly surprised of being a part of?
Is this where we get to talk about the travel?
Yes, you do. I was hoping
Yeah.
you would jump in.
So one thing that I did know about the travel possibilities, but I didn't fully understand what being a member of GNAM, Global Network for Advanced Management, actually meant. Um, and I believe UCD is the only business school in Ireland in this network. But what it's opened up is the opportunity to do modules with other business schools virtually. So they're called SNOCs, short network online courses. So you basically get to do a whole module as an added extra with business schools around the world. So I did one in agile leadership with the University in Berlin last year, and I'm currently was online this morning with the University of New South Wales in Australia doing a sustainable and inclusive leadership module. So that's been an incredible opportunity to do those with no charge. They're all part of the network. And then I am very excited to be heading off to Yale in person in June to do a week there. Once again, all part of being part of the network. So that's been absolutely phenomenal opportunity to have. And I think my second most surprising thing, and I don't know why I had this perception, but I always had a perception before I arrived that business school would be really competitive and a bit like dog eat dog. And I am literally the most wrong person in the world ever. Like from day one, the whole class, everyone is so lovely, so supportive. We're all in it together. Nobody's trying to compete with each other. Like we're all just competing against ourselves. And it's just been the most lovely group of people to spend time with and learn with. So I think that was something that was a bit worrying in advance. And I don't know where I got it, maybe from movies or something, but it definitely has been really lovely.
Thanks, Lucy.
I'll jump in there next if you want. For me, the highlight of it has been the people. Like I'm only 6 months in, so I haven't done any of the travel pieces yet, Lucy, but I'll report back. But it's the people overall, like right from the application process all the way through to meeting the class. Like that, there's no competitiveness. Everyone's so supportive. The lectures are just phenomenal. The caliber of knowledge sharing and transferring that we're getting in the class is way beyond the expectation, anything I've experienced in any other university. And just if you've any question or if you're stuck at anything, even that's not coursework, but if you've something to do with your, current role, can I get, and you've got such a breadth of skills in the room as well, like, from accountants to, engineers to all sorts of people. So you're getting this, like so many different perspectives shared all together. And just, anywhere you mention, anywhere in any room that you're part of the UCD Smurfit alumni community, there's this instant connection with such a breadth of people. So it carries you outside the classroom as well. And it's a great talking point, etc. So all of that, like network, sometimes I feel like I'm not really mad about the word, but it's like, if you think about it from a people point of view, it's just been amazing in terms of connection and engagement and, building up your portfolio of people that you can get help from or support.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, I'll just add up to Lucy's point and Anna's point. I think one of the trips thing, because now if you say 3 years back, what is one of the highlight that I remember is I think we did an international, doing business in international market. That was one of the module in which I visited Italy. It was phenomenal. I mean, I still remember that trip. Then we also had the consulting project, for which I think visited Prague. Those two were really, really, the experience itself was so enriched and it's still there in my mind. But also, apart from that, the most striking thing is that when I came here, the class size is small compared to other MBAs. So I always wondered how would that work, and it just makes you feel like family after a point of time. Even now, if I go back to the university or meet you and all the other programs, the MBA program people, and also across campus, and also our own alumni, it just feels like it's like we just met yesterday. So it's very good. It's very warm, and everybody is there to help you along the way along your career. So that's really really wonderful of being part of this Smurfit alumni.
Yeah, I think similar. Like I think you said it, Lucy. I kind of thought I was going into this competitive business environment, and it was like a concern. And it just couldn't have been the case. And there was 45 of us in that class. There's still 45 of us in the WhatsApp group. There's still 45 people that try to make the drinks every couple of months when we meet up. I've been to 2 weddings. I met up with a couple of the girls in Dublin because I'm not in Dublin. A couple of us traveled up and met in Dublin, had a night out. Like there's still that community, but it's community and supportive, but it's also literally pick up the phone people. So it could be, I'm looking for something, you can put that into the chat group, or I've a thought on something, or I remember, God, he was really good at that. I wonder if I could reach out to him. And I think that kind of sense of everybody wants that. So that kind of way, it was really inclusive. Nobody was ever left out. Like I found that really surprising because I don't know if that wasn't particularly my experience in school, or, that kind of way. It was quite, I assumed cliques, and there was none of that, because culturally it's just not in Smurfit. And I think then that's realized in the class, that culture, that just culture of kind of inclusion and kind of supportiveness. So that was something I loved and is still benefiting me now a couple of years later.
Perfect. I think that your answers highlighted many things that I think came out in the presentation, but also things that all of us who know the program well think are highlights. The opportunities to broaden your horizons, I think, came out through that, and many different ways to do that, to do different things, the connections with people, the network that really, Anna, you mentioned networking, but really networking is that knowing who to go for support. So that I think came across very strongly both in the program, post-program, and just like generally the transformative experience. So I think that it was a great reflection, putting together a great reflection of the program from within the program. And in terms of then the impact of the MBA, how would you say the Smurfit MBA, whether as you do it or having completed it, has changed or impacted you professionally or personally?
I think anybody who's done the negotiation module will immediately negotiate their salary. Like it becomes like negotiation was something you did and you went through the motions and the step by step prior to the MBA. After the MBA, it became like a learned behavior, like a muscle that you just stretch, and you're doing it without even know you're doing it. So that was something I think I know a lot of us did in that class. Was immediately I went and all just renegotiate our salaries and got what we believed we were, like, valued ourselves at it after that. So that was like an immediate reaction, but I think that was just like the first step of then many steps of leveraging it and using it. And there is the kind of, I felt I had imposter syndrome certainly before I went in. That was very much minimized through my experience. And then just the practical skills that I'd learned, that I was able to kind of bring back into the workplace. Like colleagues said, God, like we've seen a real change in you, we've seen a real shift in you. And that's something then it's just a different foundation. It kind of levels you up. I feel like you probably leapfrog what you could do professionally in a decade, you can probably do in a year or two. And I think that's the benefit, is just you have a different base. All of a sudden your base moves up and you're kind of going from there. So I've definitely felt it on the professional and the personal sense.
Thanks, Emer.
Yeah, I think for me, more than salary, it's the promotion part as well. I know when I was doing my MBA program, I was often told that you might not see the entire impact right away, but you will see as you go down the years. And now, when I'm almost there, and I just got promoted to senior product manager, and the most striking thing was when we put ourselves for promotion, we do a presentation, and the first thing on my the first slide said an MBA along with my technical degree. So that almost acts as a differentiator among all the other people trying to work for that. So yes, it is just kind of has done a lot for me through my transition. And not only that, it has also given me a very well-rounded perspective. So today in our room, when I sit with technical people and non-technical people, I'm the one who knows what's going on in the room. I'm the one who's able to talk to both of them and then create a kind of influence. And to say a kind of dependency in yourself, which is very good as you want to grow as a leader in the organization. So yeah, it has been extremely helpful. And as I said, you just have to be patient and just keep it will just help you as you rise up in your career ladder.
I think so I said I have 6 months to go roughly. But from day one, like I remember coming away from foundation week and going straight back into the business, and there was like a model I wanted to show my boss. So from day one, I've been actively taking things that we're doing in class or discussions that we're having and going back to the business and saying, do you know, we learned this cool thing. We talked about this thing. What do you think about this? So there's been, they were so like the business was so impressed from day one at what I was bringing back, and they can really see the benefit of that. And then, a lot of our projects are practically based. So our assignments aren't just theoretical. You're actually taking a business challenge or something that's going on in the business and working on that as your assignment. So like there's been pieces of work I've done for the course, but they have been directly implementable straight away in the business. And there's been that real value piece for the business. So I think everything has been so practical and so embedded in real life that I've been taking stuff from day one, which has been amazing to see. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see my answer in everyone that's spoken. I can echo all of it. And I think for me, the impact has been very immediate as well, similar to Lucy. The minute you're kind of engrossed in the community and you're talking about those things, you're bringing it straight back to the business. I've had other people say to me, you feel different, I'm much quieter in meetings. I take a lot more in. I'm much more considered in my approach. I'm much more like thinking strategically rather than operationally. I'm thinking much more into the future rather than day to day. So almost straight away, I've moved into a more executive thought process. And I think the business can see and feel that it's benefiting the team in the business as well, because they're getting nuggets brought back. Or, when I did, they actually sometimes all hate to see me coming. When I went back to the marketing module, the marketing manager was like, oh God, what she got on? And it's like, we're going to do this one, and what do you think about that? So they're all getting the learnings from it back to the business as well. So yeah, everything that the ladies on have said, and a little extra bit.
That's a powerful message you both all conveyed about impact and about presence and about gravitas. I think it came across very clearly from your answers. So I kind of think that's a great point to leave the audience with in terms of the MBA. And I would like to thank you once again for being here with us today, giving your time and sharing your experiences about the program. And then I would then pass the Zoom square onto Mireille Malvi, our MBA admission manager, for scholarship and admissions information.
Very much, Federica. And thanks everybody today for joining us during your lunchtime. And most importantly, thanks to our phenomenal panel there that I hope gave everybody the insight into the experience that you have during our MBA, both programs, which I'll go on to explain. As you know, we have two programs. We have a full-time program and the Executive MBA, which is our part-time program. The admissions criteria for both are slightly different. So most of our participants today, I believe, are interested in the Executive MBA. So I'll just go through that first. So you need an undergraduate degree. We require a minimum of 7 years professional experience. We will consider 5 years if it's exceptional, essentially. For either program, we don't include internships or short-term contract roles. It has to be, good continued experience, basically, in a professional environment. You need 2 recommendation forms, which is really easy. It's just putting your recommender or referee email on the form and the application form, and a form gets sent to them directly, and then they upload it back. And then just to complete the application form, which you'll find online. So it's actually really straightforward. It then comes to me, I review it, and then we organise an interview just to discuss your application, essentially, to find out your motivation for wanting to do an MBA, what you'd hope to achieve afterwards, and why do you want to come to Smurfit and to UCD, essentially, and why are you choosing us amongst all the other third level institutions who offer an MBA. And then, as I said, it's also my opportunity, I suppose, to explain to you anything that you don't understand or answer any of your queries or questions. And then your application gets referred to an MBA admissions committee, and then it's considered whether or not to be offered a place in this coming year, I hope, if you're applying. So that's the Executive MBA. Actually, just to add, if you don't have an undergraduate degree, we have a pathway, which means that you have to undertake a test, a GMAT test, which you'll see in the full-time MBA. It is a requirement, a GMAT test or an executive assessment test, but it is a pathway into the executive MBA if you haven't an undergraduate degree at this stage. So just the full-time MBA, again, undergraduate degree, a minimum of 5 years professional experience, 3 will be considered. Again, it has to be exceptional. And then the GMAT, the GRE or the EA. Now, somebody has asked on the questions that do we offer waivers on the GMAT for the full-time programme? The answer is yes, we do, but it really depends on the person, the type of experience they've had, if they have a master's degree, what kind of quantitative material they've covered maybe in an undergrad, and we assess it on a case-by-case basis. The best thing to do if you're wondering about that is to forward me a copy of your CV. You'll see my email address there, and I'll be able to give you a reasonably strong indication as to whether you'd be, not entitled, whether we'd consider you for a GMAT waiver. Similarly, just on the full-time MBA, 2 recommendation forms, an English language test if it's applicable, and to complete your application form. And then you go through the interview process as described for the executive MBA. So what I would say to everybody is to reach out to me at any stage if you're considering applying, if you're not sure, if you want any more detail on either of the programs, if you would like to discuss the different scholarships we have. If you look on the website, you see we have a whole range of different scholarships. And to be honest with you, it's much easier for me to have a chat with people individually about the scholarships and about how they're awarded, essentially, and the criteria that we base it on. They're slightly different for both programs. So that's really it. It's really straightforward, and I'd encourage everybody to, as I said, reach out, have a chat with me, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. If anybody has any questions now, if you want to pop them in the answer box or in the question box, I'd be delighted to answer now. I don't think there's anything right now. So I think it's back to you, Gillian.
Thank you, Mairead. Thank you very much. Okay, well, we're doing okay on time. We'll literally just take another couple of minutes to close out. One thing I'd love just to share with you is our final open day is on April 1st at 7 o'clock in the evening. And this will be a virtual, so it's an online session. Okay, similar to today. That will be presented by our MBA Academic Director, Dr. Luca Pastilli, and our MBA Senior Manager, Idel O'Leary. And they will be joined with a similar guest panel of alumni and students. And the theme of that, similar to what we touched on earlier, certainly that Lucy got very excited about, is the global aspects of the MBA. Okay, so that will look at all the global learning elements of the program. So if you want to go and just to see where you could submit for that, just go on to www.smurfitschool.ie/events. Okay. So just in the meantime, just 2 questions that I noticed there. I know the team have been answering them in the background. I think Kathy asked, what would they've liked to have known before they came into the course? Now, I think our guest panel today answered lots on this already. But from their conversation, I think a couple of things. It's not as intimidating as you think it's going to be. I mean, once you make the commitment to do an MBA, okay, and you understand the time and effort that's required, but overall, it's not as intimidating. The people around you are there to support you, your class in particular, who you will end up with lifelong friendships out of in a huge way. You will actually enjoy it. You actually really will quite enjoy it. And like as was mentioned, that idea of going back to learn again, it's intimidating initially, but then it's totally refreshing. And you literally remove a veil off your head where you go, wow, it's really interesting just to explore thoughts again. And also just that the program is very heavily supported by the MBA team here. We have dedicated staff who do nothing else but MBA. So, just beware that all the way through, in terms of careers and alumni, the people are here to help you. So all the supports are there. If you want to do it, this is definitely one of the most straightforward places to do it in, and you're going to get the high caliber MBA that you may be seeking. The second piece,
do you mind if I interject? Because I know we're close to finishing up. Someone has asked what are the cut-off dates for the Executive MBA. Just to let everybody know, we will be enrolling until the summer. However, particularly for the Executive MBA, if you do want to be considered for any scholarships, you need to have applied and been enrolled by the end of April, because that scholarship process does kick off in May, and when it's closed, it's closed. So if you are thinking of applying and you want to apply for a scholarship, please do so by the end of April. Thank you. Thanks, Julian.
Thank you, Mary. That's a very good point, guys. There's actual hard cash in that. It's definitely, if you're thinking about it, definitely make contact with Mairead immediately, and then just work the process from there as it suits you. Okay. And just, I suppose the last question there is around, what do I bring back to my workplace? What's going to come back of it? Certainly on the executive side, people are working all the time as they're doing the program, and they find that they integrate the learning directly into their jobs on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis, which is they find really interesting as they go. On the full-time side, obviously you're going to be immersed for an entire 12 months, and then you bring that back into the next role you join. But mainly, we work very heavily on your competencies, all the core competencies, but certainly around your communication style, your ability to work in a team successfully. And bear in mind, we have a multicultural effect, so you're getting huge exposure there, and overall your leadership style, in terms of how you approach things, your critical thinking. Many people would say that when they come out of the MBA, they think differently, academically, professionally, but also in terms of their own lives and personally. That they, I think Anna mentioned that, she's calmer in meetings or whatever, that actually you learn to listen more and absorb more, and just be more efficient in how you approach things. And equally, I suppose overall, that's the executive way of thinking, and that's really that's why people do an MBA. That's what they want to walk away with. Okay. So I think that's probably, we're at 1:52 now, so there might be a couple of minutes for a sandwich for somebody. So just want to say thank you all very much. Thank you to our panel today, Federica, for chairing the panel, and to Mairead, and to Marketing for setting up the webinar for us. And thank you very much to our participants for joining us. You see Edel, Sinead, Mairead and myself there. Please just reach out to us. There's no problem at all. We'd be delighted to answer any queries you have over the coming days. And it would be an absolute pleasure to have you here with us in August 2026, should you decide to go forth and do your Smurfit MBA. All right, so thank you very much, and we'll close at that.